Fertility Freaks. Welcome back to another podcast, the Fertility Freak Podcast, where we break down the science, the strategy, and the spirit of getting pregnant. I'm your host, Michelle Tillman, your fertility educator and expert who has helped women to navigate this journey with real practical insights. Today's episode, it's a game changer because we are diving into the fertility data that nobody talks about, the hidden metrics that could make or break your baby making journey. So most doctors are focusing on your AMH and your FSH. And while those numbers do matter, they don't tell the full story. So we're going to dive deeper in some of the overlooked lab work that could change your approach to conception completely. So stick around because I'm going to share a real life case study with one of my clients who completely transformed her fertility plan based on these hidden metrics. Okay, so let's go. All right. The common fertility markers, and this is why they're not enough. So most women trying to conceive get told to check for two main labs. Your AMH, which is the anti-Müllerian hormone. This measures like your ovarian preserve or basically how many eggs that you have left. And then they're also told to get your FSH checked, which is the follicle stimulating hormone. This is what helps you control your menstrual cycle, and this is what tells your ovaries to prepare your eggs for ovulation. This sounds important, right? It is. But the thing is that AMH and FSH, it does not predict your egg quality. It only predicts the quantity. Okay, because just because you have a high AMH, it doesn't guarantee that you have healthy eggs. And just because you have a low AMH, it does not mean that you cannot get pregnant. And just because you have an okay FSH, it doesn't mean that your hormones are balanced and ready for conception. So what else should you be looking at? I'm going to break it down for you. Here are some critical fertility biomarkers that most doctors, they don't check. And these things can give you a much clearer picture of your fertility health. Well, first thing, estradiol. Estradiol is the main form of estrogen in your body. So if it's too high and you have estrogen dominance, this can disrupt ovulation. But if it's too low, it can also indicate that you have poor egg quality or uterine lining. So what you got to do with your doctor, work with them and tell them to check your levels on cycle day 2 or 3. And cycle days start from the first day that you're bleeding. So cycle day 1 is the first day that you're bleeding. Cycle day 2, you're bleeding. You know, how many ever days your cycle is, okay? So when I say cycle day 2 or 3, that's what I mean. If you're off, if those cycle days are off, focus on balancing, or your estrogen is off based on the results you get on those cycle days. Make sure you focus on balancing your estrogen with your diet, with lifestyle, with supplements. But remember also, if you happen to get these tests done at home, because there's so many kits on the market now, make sure you follow those specific instructions for that test. And here's one little hack I want you to know. When it comes to getting your estradiol or your estrogen checked, remember that you can have increased estrogen in your body if you are constipated. Now, when you don't have enough fiber in your stomach, making sure that you're having regular bowel movements, it causes your body to have more estrogen in your blood and in your urine, depending on if you're doing a blood or urine test, than you normally would. So if you happen to get that result back that says you are estrogen dominant, remember that can totally be affected by the fact that you may be going through some constipation. Maybe you changed how you eat. Maybe you tried a new supplement, but I just want you to keep that in mind when you're testing, when you're getting this one thing tested. And your doctors are probably not going to volunteer this test, but you have to request it. And if they don't want to do it for whatever reason, find somebody else who will. And or you can order one of these at-home kits. They have them online, so that way you can make sure that you are getting your estrogen levels tested, so you at least know where you're at. Okay. So the next thing that you need to get tested is your progesterone. This hormone is crucial for maintaining pregnancy. And it's not that doctors don't test this, but they actually don't really look at it proactively. They're usually waiting until you've already had multiple miscarriages. And at that time, if you could have looked at it proactively, then maybe you could have saved yourself some years, some heartache, the pain of a loss. For every woman who's ever experienced a loss, my heart goes out to you. And so I'm so sorry for the losses you experience, and I don't want you to experience an unnecessary loss again. So in order for you to avoid that, let's find out what your progesterone is proactively. And ideally, you want to test your progesterone at least 7 days post ovulation. It's going to be around cycle day 21, depending on if you have a 28-day cycle or how long your cycle is, okay? And if your progesterone is low, you may want to support with a progesterone cream or oil. Seed cycling, we'll go details into that in another episode. And lifestyle changes that produce your production. Okay, one of the other things that, listen, the women who have this test, I know they've been trying to get pregnant for some time, because thyroid panels are a huge one. If you go into the doctor's office and you've been trying for 6 months, they are not about to run your thyroid panels. These are very detailed, specific tests that it's hard to get done unless you've had some serious issues or you've been trying for a very long time. So you want to get your TSH, your free T3, your free T4, your reverse T3, and your thyroid antibodies, okay? A normal TSH doesn't mean your thyroid is working optimally for conception. So many women who have a subclinical hypothyroidism, they struggle to get pregnant, but they're told their thyroid is fine. But you have to know the details. You got to get the full thyroid panel, not just TSH. And once you find out what you're working with, you have to optimize your levels for fertility. And of course, your TSH ideally is between 1 and 2. But this is something that, again, you're going to really have to advocate for this. You may do better with an at-home test. There's kits that they sell online that you can do some of these tests at home. The doctor is probably the most accurate way to go, but I know sometimes you got to tussle with them to get them to even get you to getting this test done. But again, I will say thyroid is probably not the first thing. There's probably a lot of other things that you can address first before you just, run every single little test that there is. Likely, there's other things that you need to be addressing that could be blocking you from getting pregnant. All right. So here's the next thing. Number 4, insulin and blood sugar. Your fasting insulin, your hemoglobin A1C, and also a glucose tolerance test. When you have blood sugar imbalances, it can affect your ovulation, your egg quality, and implantation. Okay. Even women without PCOS can have insulin resistance, and this impacts your fertility. So a lot of people think, well, I don't have PCOS, my insulin is good, but you still want to make sure that you do this. Balance your blood sugar with protein, fiber, and healthy fats at every single meal. Okay. And there's supplements like inositol that some people take if needed. And one of the other things that I recommend to all of my clients is let's do some intermittent fasting. Let's make sure that we're not eating all day and all night. Let's squeeze that eating window down to maybe 8 to 12 hours. And when I say eating window, the amount of time between breakfast and dinner every day, that's your eating window. Okay, let's lower that eating window so we're not constantly giving ourselves blood sugar spikes all day, and eat larger meals, not a whole bunch of snacks. Okay, I know that's a shift, but listen, we're trying to get pregnant. We're not just trying to lose some weight. We're trying to get pregnant here. So what you try to do when you're trying to get pregnant and what you're trying to do when you lose weight may not always be the same. So don't think I'm eating healthy, I'm losing weight, this is perfect for my fertility. That may not be true. Okay. All right, here's another one. Inflammation markers. Okay, number 5, inflammation markers. CRP, homocysteine, and vitamin D. High inflammation can prevent implantation, and it increases your miscarriage risk. Low vitamin D it is linked to poor egg quality and reduced IVF success rates. Can I tell you, women of color, listen up, I'm talking to you. There's so many of us who have low vitamin D because we're more prone to it, okay, as a woman of color. You got to get outside and get that sun, sis. You go ahead and get that tan, okay? I know sometimes colorism will have you think you can't get a tan. Go ahead and get that tan and get that 15 minutes in the sun directly on your skin every day. Supplement if you need to. Some of you are so low that the sun alone, you're going to have to supplement too, okay? So remember, these are things you have to check. I make sure I know the vitamin D levels of all of my clients. This is a part of the 4S formula where we peel through every little part of your life and say, okay, you need to fix this, 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 and this. And once you fix these things, this is when pregnancy happens, okay? So you have to check these markers, adjust your diet, your lifestyle, and your supplements. Now, I don't think I said all the numbers. Let me go backwards in case you didn't, get all things, the hidden metrics. 1 was estradiol, 2 was progesterone, 3 was your thyroid panel, 4 was your insulin and blood sugar, and 5 we just talked about was your inflammation markers, okay? Let me tell you about Ashley. She came to me after 2 years of trying to conceive. Now, Ashley had blocked tube, endometriosis, fibroids, and she had recently had a miscarriage 2 years prior to working with me. She was told her AMH is too low, so she got to get IVF. Her friend, matter of fact, she had a friend who had IVF. Her friend was telling her, just quit doing all that stuff with your coach, girl. Come over here and get IVF, right? This is what her friend is telling her. And I'm like, hey, IVF is not always a bad thing. Everyone doesn't need it, but it may make things a little bit more simple for you, possibly. She was told your AMH is low, your FSH is a little bit high, but just keep trying and don't stress. This is what her doctors are telling her. You're telling me don't stress, but you're also telling me to get IVF, and you're telling me my FSH is a little high. But she wasn't convinced. So we ran all the tests. This is why it's important to have somebody walking through your journey with you to help navigate what your doctor is telling you, right? We ran all the tests, the full panel of all the hidden metrics that I just told you about, right? So here what we found. Her progesterone was low, right? We knew that. And she wasn't maintaining the last pregnancy that she had. Her luteal phase was super short. They were giving her a progesterone suppository, but it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So we had to switch and shift some things with her progesterone. Her inflammation was also off the charts. The vitamin D, all the signs that there was some inflammation going in her body. Everything I walked her through, I'm like, okay, we definitely have some inflammation. This is what I need you to follow for the next 4 weeks, okay, to get everything done. So we did all the targeted changes, adjusted her supplementation, her medication, the progesterone, lowered her inflammation. And y'all, this was not overnight. When she got real serious and she started taking everything that I told her, this is what you need to start doing. I need you to do all these things. I know it's a lot. She was working with me for a little while, for a few months. Nothing was happening. When she did this deep dive, and I said, hey, now, everything we said you need to do, I need you to start doing it. You're supposed to be pregnant by now. She buckled down for 3 months. 3 months after working with me for several months. And I said, okay, girl, I know all your stats. You should be pregnant by now. She buckled down for 3 months and began putting her body into place. Few months after that, after her being consistent, boom, she's pregnant. Matter of fact, she just announced on social media that she's pregnant like yesterday. The cutest pregnancy announcement ever. And people would assume the person who had one fallopian tube, and that one was blocked, but we worked on our protocol to unblock it. Endometriosis, fibroids, and she had a miscarriage. How in the world? But there's so many factors that so many of us don't even know we're supposed to be looking at. And once she did those things, it changed everything. And now she's halfway through her pregnancy, and she's never been this far along in a pregnancy. This is why knowing your full fertility picture matters. Okay, so if you've only been looking at your AMH, it's time for you to dig deeper. Here's what you can do. You can ask your doctor for that full fertility panel, or order private labs if you need to. Focus on balancing your hormones through nutrition, lifestyle, and targeted supplements. But don't just be taking random stuff that you don't need. This is okay. Take what your body needs, okay? And work with a fertility coach like me to create a tailored plan for your body. Okay? Whew. I know that's a lot of info, but I hope that it empowers you so you can take charge of your fertility journey in a whole new way, okay? If you found this helpful, do me a favor, subscribe to the Fertility Freak podcast so you never miss an episode. Screenshot this episode and share it with me on Instagram. Put it in your stories. Tag me at Fertility Freak and DM me if you want help diving into your fertility metrics. You know, I'd love for you to hire me and help you walk through this journey so you can stop wasting time and get the solutions that are going to make a difference in your journey. If you have questions about any of the things that we talked about, or you have questions about learning more about working with me, I want to invite you to the God, Where is My Baby Masterclass. And when you register for that masterclass, you're also going to get a list of 27 things you need to be doing if you're trying to get pregnant, right? So the registration for the masterclass is totally free. You're also going to get that 27 things you need to be doing to get pregnant download checklist. And I want you to go in, pay attention, take notes, and get ready to get to work, okay? So until next time, keep going, keep believing, and keep taking action. You got this.